Pippa Evans.
Hello, Andrew Pugsley.
Very well enunciated.
Thank you. I've been practicing my speaking out loud.
Amazing. Welcome to the Showstopper podcast. What is Showstopper the Improvised Musical, Pippa?
What is it? It's a musical that happens to be improvised. What does that mean, Andrew Pugsley?
It means we make it all up on the spot. The songs, the dances, the dialogue, everything. It's everything you could wish from a West End musical. It just happens to be made up on the spot.
Does that mean this podcast is an improvised musical?
Well, this podcast is a monthly chat with amazing people from the world of improv musicals and comedy.
Well, that sounds like a great way to spend your hour commute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you probably have a bit of time left because we tend to run about 43 to 47 minutes.
Depends how long your commute is, I suppose.
Well, if it's an hour commute, it's probably an hour.
That's probably right. Please excuse my delusions. I've just returned from the Edinburgh Fringe with my friend Andrew Pugsley and the Showstopper, the improvised musical.
Yeah, we're all a little bit hollow and haunted, aren't we?
Yeah, we're confused by the fact that, well, I'll tell you what happens is around 7 o'clock, I don't get a standing ovation anymore. So that's a bit sad, isn't it?
That one?
Whereas for every night from the whole of the month of August, we were having wonderful times being applauded for our improvised shows set in places such as a salsa club, a speakeasy.
We did Area 51.
Oh, that was fun, that one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the last one was, but I literally can't remember.
The last one was on a potato farm in the West Country.
Potato farm, and I turned into a potato at the end.
Yes, you did.
And while I was sitting there as a potato, all I was thinking was, I hope someone comments on how strong my core must be. And then at the end, an audience member said to me, I was really admiring your core strength. And I thought, yes! So that
goal.
That was a life goal achieved. But we're not here to talk about me pretending to be a potato, Andrew.
Not just that. No, we've got an amazing guest on the podcast this week.
Yes, we have is none other than John Owen-Jones, who we met whilst doing a cruise, a musical theatre cruise last year.
We did the Stages cruise last year.
It was so much fun. We had such a great time. And then it turned out that Justin Brett, one of our wonderful showstoppers, he went to drama school with John Owen-Jones, who happened to be singing on the cruise.
Yeah, and you may know John Owen-Jones from doing Les Mis. He was Jean Valjean in the West End. He's done the most number of performances as the Phantom of anybody. He's got an incredible big old Welsh voice.
He's like so Welsh. He's like all of the dreams of the Welsh in a chest.
Absolutely. And also in the room, as we said, we had Justin Brett. He joined us for the chat. And on keys, we had Christopher Ash, Showstopper assistant musical supervisor.
Yes, that's right. And we had a whale of a time.
And we recorded it at the Museum of the Comedy.
The Museum of the Comedy, which is in Bloomsbury. And if you ever have a chance to pop down, you really should. It's really quite an amazing place. They have recently received, as I think we said on the last podcast, a lot of Russ Abbott memorabilia, which keeps this lady happy. And they have put all the posters up, I noticed today. So I'm quite excited to have a look at that after we've recorded this intro.
Amazing. Let's have a listen. John Owen-Jones.
Oh
Hello.
my gosh, it's John Owen-Jones.
It's me, yes, I know. Isn't it amazing having me here?
I mean, we couldn't have said better ourselves.
Mostly because I couldn't find the place.
You couldn't find it. It is strange. It is underneath a church. We are actually in the crypt of a church. We should maybe tell that to our listeners.
Yeah. We just introduce it as the Museum of Comedy and don't generally kind of introduce everyone to how strange it is.
Because it's a beautiful building and we really appreciate being here. Thank you for having us.
Thank
Museum
you.
of Comedy.
We should say also in the room is Justin Brett, Showstopper extraordinaire.
Hi.
And Justin and John have a history. Justin, would you like to share?
We were married. 12 years. We lived in Portugal and had a little small holding there where we raised cattle. But before that, we were at drama school together. We were at Central School of Speech and Drama.
Which we didn't know until we did the cruise, the musical theatre cruise. Stages.
Yeah, Stages, yeah.
Stages.
Was that in October last year?
It was.
October 2018. And John, you were one of the headline acts.
One of the longest weeks of my life, that was.
You did there and back?
Yeah, I went there and back. And, it stopped in Amsterdam, didn't it?
Yes.
Now, where did you join?
We joined in London.
You joined in London, then you left in Amsterdam.
We flew back in Amsterdam.
That's right. So it started in Southampton, went to Amsterdam.
And then Michael
came back
Ball got
to
on, didn't
Southampton. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then everything went crazy. What a party that was.
Right.
But I couldn't even get off the ship in Amsterdam because I was rehearsing. So it was very annoying. I was on the ship 24 hours a day for a week. And I saw people last night. I was working with did this new musical called The Clockmaker's Daughter, and I played the clockmaker. Clockmaker. I just need to clarify
Say
that.
that again, sorry, mate.
Clockmaker.
And again?
Clockmaker.
Jolly good.
And half of the cast had done cruises and stuff. And I said, oh, yeah, I did a cruise. Yeah, God, it was hard work, wasn't it? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, how long were you on it for? Oh, a week. And they were like, well, I've done 2 years on a cruise. So it's like, I'm just not cut out
You're
for
a
it.
wuss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a wuss, yeah.
Well, it was we really enjoyed that cruise, didn't we? Because we only did 2 days. And we realised we were the only musical on it because everyone else was doing the hits of the musicals.
Yeah.
Because, of course, to put a whole musical on for one night is ridiculous. So we ended up doing 2 big musicals. One was set in a lingerie shop.
Yeah, and the other one was
Ann Summer Shop.
Yeah, one was an Ann Summer show, and the other was like a Jerry Springer talk show. It was called Chatty Chatty Bang Bang.
One of my favourite titles ever.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And we got our number 1 compliment from Arlene Phillips, who
That's
said
right.
she really appreciated our choreography.
Hello.
So
You have to understand, listeners, how the showstoppers view their dance skills to understand quite how deeply that
You just have to look
compliment,
at the showstoppers and
yeah,
you'll
yeah.
understand just how their dance skills
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Well, I'd keep a close eye on anything Arlene Phillips does in the future, just in case she nicks some of your trademarked moves.
I think she might have nicked some of our box steps.
We're basically the hot gossip of West End musicals.
But John Owen-Jones, our wonderful guest.
We just brought John on to talk about us, didn't we?
I think
that's
so.
fine.
But I mean, you were the youngest Jean Valjean.
I was, yes.
And you've also been the Phantom the most
In the UK, yeah.
almost 2,000 times.
Yeah, almost 2,000 times, yes, well remembered.
Do you have them on a certificate on your wall, or like how do you ever have anything to aim for ever again? That's what I mean. Like at 24, you've already achieved that.
When you
It's pretty
swim the length of
impressive.
the pool and you get a little medal.
Yeah. Well, I've got my Bag of 4 gymnastics award, so I got that, and I got my cycling proficiency, and then nothing until I was the youngest Valjean.
Okay.
So, yeah, but it's not really a certificate, but you do get a tattoo.
Okay, yeah.
Of 24601 on you. Yeah. So, yeah.
And do you still play Jean Valjean?
Well, I'm going back into it this summer.
Are you?
I'm doing the all-star musical.
Yeah.
It's sort of
concert
semi-stage,
version.
isn't it? Is it like a...
Do you know, I have no idea yet. I have no idea. They haven't told me anything. They phoned me up on Christmas Eve. I had no work in the book for 2019. Is it 2019?
Merry Christmas.
And I was like, yes, please. That'll be lovely. Thank you very much. A little summer temp job. I'm sharing the role of Jean Valjean with Alfie Boe.
Wow.
So Michael Ball's playing Javert, and Carrie Hope Fletcher's playing Fantine, and Matt Lucas is playing Thénardier, and a load of other people. So it should be a lot of fun, cruising through all the egos backstage. That'll be a lot of fun, yeah.
That is so dreamy. Where would you put your ego amongst all those egos?
Well, at the top, without any question. Yes, yeah, but quietly. So yeah.
Well, you don't need
Quietly
to. If you
massive.
like, you go, guys. I've got the longest CSO, and I was the youngest. So
Yeah.
no need to brag.
Yeah, I've also got the biggest mortgage.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So
Maybe you could keep your phantom mask in a bag, and then whenever you feel like you're being out ego, you could just put the mask on
Pop
your
that
face,
on,
just to remind everyone.
Yeah.
This is it. Or show them your other tattoo, your phantom tattoo.
Got another gig, guys.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, hopefully they'll do an all-star staged concert of that next year, and I
Sweet.
can. Yeah.
They could
You never
alternate it every summer, couldn't they? Les Mis and then Phantom. Les Mis then Phantom.
Well, I have in a way. Yeah, for most of my career. Yeah. I've had what they call a T-shaped career. I went up to it, and then I turned left, went to Les Mis, then I turned right, I went to Phantom, and then just went back and forth. So
brilliant.
yeah,
Nothing wrong with
T-shaped. Yeah, I'm having to create new branches.
that's
there we are.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like your new album?
Like my new album, for
Oh,
example.
okay.
Yeah, producing and arranging and releasing my own albums through my own record company.
Oh, do you do all that stuff? Do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, it's Spotlight. So that's all your own release, is it?
Yeah, this one is. Yeah, well, actually, this new album is called Spotlight, and it's available now via my website, johnowenjones.com. Nobody's mentioned that yet, have they?
No, sorry.
But hopefully we'll mention that several times more.
It'll be coming up on your screens here.
Well, the new thing now is filming podcasts, isn't it? So people, can see you talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah, we
Richard
don't do
Herring
that.
does that, and
Yeah, he does do that.
I thought it was a tiny camera up in the corner. I thought that was covering it.
That's
No.
just my spy camera on you, Justin.
Oh, great. Okay. Shall I put some clothes on? Okay.
so my new album, Spotlight, I was signed with a record company in Wales, but that contract naturally ended, and I thought it's time to do it all myself, because I produced everything and designed the artwork and everything anyway, but I just had somebody else pay for it. Now, this new album, I went through a company called Pledge Music, so it's like a crowdfunding platform, and basically fans of my work or fans of other bands give money to the artists to make the album in advance, and then I give them the album. It's like they pledge me a £10 and I give them a signed album after I've made it. That's how it works. But then Pledge Music hold on to the money, and then they give you the money at the end. So you have to spend money to make the album, but then you're guaranteed to get the money back. So I was watching carefully how much funds I was raising, and I thought, well, I can afford to spend £25,000 on this album. That's how much I've raised. So I did all that, right? And I knew I was getting the money back. And then Pledge Music decided to steal the money. And they've fraudulently taken all the artists' money that they're supposed to have kept.
What?
And they're spending it on things like, first-class flights and accommodation for their managers and stuff like that. So they've liquidated. So I've lost 25 grand on the album before I even released it.
Oh my God, that is
So, yeah.
horrific.
So yeah, it's awful. But you know what? I'm very proud of the album, and
It's a great album.
Thank you very much,
It really
Justin.
is a good album.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say that of anybody. I thought there was going to be some kind of little dig or joke
I
in
listened
there.
to it all. It's really great.
Thank you very
it's
much.
lovely.
Also, because I knew I had the money, we were able to spend on securing the services of the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra.
Yeah, I saw
that's
that. I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah, so we spent 2 days out there, and they've worked with everyone, So it was amazing. It was a great experience, but sadly a very expensive one.
I'm doing,
So if you want John Owen-Jones to eat tonight, please buy a copy of his
Please buy
album.
his album.
I'm doing a charity run in July. And it was supposed to be to support the homeless of London, but I might now change it to support you, John.
Well, I might be homeless if I don't
Exactly,
get
might
these
be.
bills.
The John Owen-Jones lunch cast, where people sent in sandwiches for John.
So one of the single is called The Prayer.
Yeah,
and
well, that
that's
was
with-
released a while back, and then we had another one before that as well. And now we're about to release another one.
But that is the single. This is what your
What's the next
manager
one?
sent me.
Oh, my manager's just gone on holiday for a week. She hasn't sent you anything correct.
But so
She's
Bobby
taken
sent,
25
this is what
grand with her
Bobby
as well.
sent me.
Yeah. She's gone on a
Hang on a minute.
£25,000 cruise.
So anyway, John's agent did send me this information. That is the first single. The first single is called The Prayer.
Well, actually, that isn't true either. So the first track released on the album was Evermore from Beauty and the Beast, and then we did The Prayer with Lucy Jones, which we then put out kind of... the way the record company works now, record industry rather, it doesn't really work in the way it used to.
I know.
You don't make money selling albums at all.
Yeah.
So singles are just ways of people to get to hear the album. They're always like adverts, but you remember you used to go into Woolworths and spend £1
Yeah.
and you get like a single, and then that was until the album came out, and that's all you listen to.
Yeah.
But people don't do that anymore. And now everyone streams it, so nobody makes any money on albums. It's all on gigs.
we know that. We have a Showstopper album, which
Yeah.
everyone is welcome to buy as well.
That's right. You can mail order from showstopperthemusical.com, not johnowenjones.com, but you should go to that
Well,
one
I
too.
can always put a link on my website if I can be bothered. Are you available on Spotify?
We're not yet because we're trying to shift our hard copies.
Yeah, well,
Because we still work in Woolworths terms. We expect people to come down to the Museum of Comedy and say, have you got that song? And then Sue's in the office says, yes, here you go, £10, please.
Well,
But what we do is we sell quite a lot of hard copies like after a gig where
Yes,
people
that's
want
where-
like a souvenir.
yes,
Did
exactly.
you find that a lot?
Yeah, that's how it works now.
Do you sit there and sign it?
Yeah. I mean,
Do you have one of those like a screen thing with your?
I have,
Yeah.
but it's from an old album which looks too much like a Michael Bublé cover. It's very embarrassing.
You
What's
can't
that
go
mean?
wrong
What would
with
be a
that.
Michael Bublé cover?
But it's almost like a direct rip-off of it.
Oh, are you kind of
It wasn't my idea.
soft focus?
Well,
Is it Christmas? Have
it's
you got
on the-
baubles in your ears?
Does it actually have a picture of Michael Bublé? 'Cause that's the big giveaway.
exactly.
Are you selling Michael Bublé? Have you nicked 25 grand off Michael Bublé?
You can buy John's album from michaelbublé.com.
No, I would recommend you put your album on Spotify because it's a shop window. That's the only reason. People won't pay for it, but if people really like it, they will buy it. So yeah,
Thank you for your advice.
it's my pleasure because I have my own record company now. So
Yeah, great.
That's what I do.
So on your album, you sing with Lucy Jones.
Yes, who's
just gone into Waitress.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
saw her in
yeah.
Waitress the other day and she's wonderful.
Of course she is.
So
She's
good, yeah.
a huge talent.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
worked with
I'm
her
gonna say
before,
Alex.
did you?
Well, only gigs and stuff. And we did a charity walk the length of Wales once, which was torturous for me anyway, because I'm massively unfit. So
Not anymore.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My ankle pops every now and then. you
Right,
know.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, I really damaged ligaments in my foot doing that walk. So yeah.
dear.
So then, as a result, I didn't work out for 6 months, put a massive amount of weight on, and I'm still trying to desperately shed those pounds, Justin.
Okay, all right.
You've been told.
I really have, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So
And
Made by
John's
Place.
new fitness DVD is available from John
Michael
Owen-Jones.
Bublé.
And it's £25,000 a copy.
So you said you listened to Luke Kempner's podcast.
I did,
interview,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you were a bit upset that he didn't mention you.
Yeah, so you had Luke Kempner in here, didn't you? And
Yeah,
him and I, we did the Les Mis tour in 2010, the 25th anniversary one, where I played Valjean, and he, as he quite rightly said, understudied Marius to Gareth Gates. And he even remembered exactly how many times he went on, which is quite worrying. But I love Luke, and but I was furious that he didn't actually mention me at all.
I'm really sorry about, and I'll tell you what, look, if Luke, I'll text him. In fact, I'll text him now and see if he replies, because I reckon he'll be really upset that John Owen-Jones is upset. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah, he'd be really
carry-
upset.
you
with
carry
that.
on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
he'll be
message
really
him.
happy that on John's podcast we're mentioning Luke.
Yeah,
he will be,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
But he's doing brilliantly at the moment. He's, you know. Yeah, and actually, when he was backstage, he was always doing impressions of cast members and stuff, and annoying everyone. So nobody liked him, and now he's making a career out of it.
Yeah,
so,
he's very funny.
Yeah.
Who knew there was a career to be made out of annoying John Owen-Jones?
Yeah, exactly.
Justin.
I should imagine there's a lot of people out there who have made a career out of that. I'm very easily annoyed.
Are you?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Sorry, John. Sorry,
mate.
John.
Okay.
Oh God, we didn't even offer you a drink. Do you want a drink? Do you need some water?
No,
or
it's
something?
fine. Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
I should have
Yeah.
done that. Well, yeah.
Uh,
Well, water would be the first thing I would offer to a podcast.
I would go
Would you-
straight for tea.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
which
then I probably would have done that before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just wanted to show that we're hospitable on the recording.
Now that we know he's irritable.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. I would have liked Maltesers as well, but you didn't bring any of
Yeah.
them.
Maltesers would make your mouth all...
I love Maltesers though.
I think
love
he's not
Maltesers.
irritable. He's just dehydrated. Maybe that's what it is. It's,
Maybe it is,
symptom
yeah.
of that.
What is
Yeah.
your favourite costume you've ever worn in a musical?
In a musical. Well, I've only
Oh,
won two.
already?
So
Do you have all your costume? Do you get to keep it then?
no.
So someone else is wearing John Owen-Jones, Jean Valjean.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a story. When I was doing amateur theatre, we were hiring costumes for a cast production of Merchant of Venice, and we did the Dustin Hoffman one. So the guy who
I thought
played
Shakespeare had written it.
Yeah, he had written it, yeah, but Hoffman probably mumbled a lot of it, so it sounded like he'd rewritten
Right,
it.
okay, yeah.
So Dustin Hoffman played Shylock in this West End production, and Nathaniel Parker was playing my part, which was Bassanio, I think, if I remember rightly. Anyway, we got the costumes, and, in the label inside, it was like Nat Parker was scribbled in biro, and then all of Dustin Hoffman's costumes were typed Mr. Hoffman.
Amazing.
So the guy who played Shylock nicked one of his costumes. That didn't go back. So he's got Mr. Hoffman's kind of hat or
That's
something.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
So my PE kit was Miss Evans. Yeah.
Yeah,
I did a commercial once, and I had a pair of swimming trunks on that the Hoff had.
Oh,
worn.
wow. Yeah, the Hoff came to visit Phantom once, and I have never seen any. I mean, we've had loads of guests backstage, but the Hoff was like the main guy that all the crew came to meet.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge flat piece of scenery at the back, which is so big and strong and robust, they've called it the Hoff.
Oh my God.
So they've written on this thing the Hoff, so they all got a picture of him next to the Hoff with them.
And is he as strong and robust in real life
Yeah,
as we
he's
imagine?
exactly as you imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
And slightly kooky as well, which is very
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
endearing,
I just love thinking.
Yeah.
So who's come back? So you said Bruce Willis.
Sorry, I guess I should
okay.
just point out for listeners, and in case anyone's confused, we're no longer talking about Dustin Hoffman and talking about David Hasselhoff.
Oh, yes,
just
of
in
course.
case.
Oh yeah,
a few people
I
are
thought
not
everybody
familiar
knows
with the
Hoff.
nickname.
Yeah, good point though.
Yeah, very good
not the
point,
Hoff.
yeah.
So like you said, Bruce Willis came backstage.
Yeah,
the Hoff
who-
came backstage. Like who is this around? Because people just come back and sort of go, "Hi, I'm famous, so I'm going to go and meet the star
Yeah,
of
and
the show."
do you know what? That happens a lot on Broadway. It's very
Yeah.
weird, because on Broadway, you as a cast, you don't meet people backstage. You go on stage at the end of the show,
Yeah.
and you have an audience with certain audience members. You meet people who've come in, like friends of the cast or celebrities, and you meet them on stage.
He's really regimented as well.
Yeah.
It's a really
Yeah.
sort of strict system.
Yeah, it's a very, very excellent way of doing it because you don't hang about. People are in, they're out, and then you go home. And
Actually, yeah, we did that in $1 Million Quartet with Jane Fonda.
oh, right,
in-
yeah.
yeah.
So it's very. So who else do we meet? George Lucas, Carol Vorderman. Yeah,
Amazing.
lovely, yeah, she was very nice.
Has there been anyone who's come in? Because obviously there's that weird thing. Like we had this thing when we were in the West End that Frank Oz came back to
Oh,
meet
yeah.
us, and we all had to sort of try and be cool rather than go, "Oh my God, you're the most in this piggy."
Wow, that's amazing.
It was really exciting.
when was
for
this
us.
then? Because I
That's
thought he's-
2016.
Yeah.
I thought he died. Or is that the other one?
No, that's Jim Henman.
Jim
Henson.
Henson died.
Tim
right.
Henman.
Yeah, yeah.
Tim Henman.
Tim Henman died.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, guys.
Henman Hill now has a little cross on it.
That's why he wasn't that strong at tennis, is because he was a Muppet.
But I heard
And he was dead.
I wasn't there when Frank Oz was in, but I'd heard he was incredibly humble. And the line I heard was that he went, in the 70s, I did a TV show called The Muppets. And we know Frank.
Yeah, it was so cute. But we were really overwhelmed. So was there anyone, because obviously if you've met quite a lot of famous people, maybe you're used to it, but did anyone come backstage that you went, I don't know how to behave in front of
Bruce Willis was the weird one, because normally you see people after a show, but as we discussed before the podcast, I mean, obviously you've met Bruce, Justin.
I have conversed.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story. We must get into that in a second, but I'll talk about me first. They have like a royal room or a VIP room front of house where, like celebs and stuff go and have a drink in the interval so they don't get bothered by people in the bar. But that was booked out the night Bruce Willis turned up. So he came backstage to my dressing room and we had drinks and stuff in my dressing room whilst I was dressed as the Phantom with his daughter Tallulah, and it was very, very cool. He was top bloke.
Were you wearing the weird I'm all burnt face mask already? So you were talking to him in that face?
Yeah, well, you have to put that on at the start of the show. Course, But I was wearing the mask for most of it. And then we had a little picture taken. And then, he signed a thing for me and he said, great, thanks to see you. What was it? No, hang on. Thanks for meeting me whilst you were working. Your pal, Bruce Willis. How can we be pals?
Still got that?
Yeah, of course I have, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's on my wall of things, like signed stuff by Sondheim, Michael Ball, Bruce Willis.
What does Michael Ball's signed thing say?
Thanks for making me look good or something like that.
I love Michael Ball.
Yeah, Ball is brilliant.
Yeah,
he's a legend.
I've got a picture of Michael Ball feeding Christopher Biggins a cupcake. And every so often I just look at it.
Do you know what? If I were you, I'd clear your hard drive. Yeah.
So you said, John, that you have this like T-shaped career.
Yeah.
So is there a part that you would love to play that you feel like maybe you would never get to play, even if it's like a part you would never get cast in?
No, because I only keep my eyes on things that I'd actually be able to do.
Okay,
so I don't really think about like whether or not I'd get to play Evita.
No.
That's it might happen. You never know the way things are going.
But is there a bit of you that would like to play Evita? Is more my
Pippa is
question.
currently trying to book John for her Parts I'll Never Play show that she's also.
But isn't that funny? That's how it feels now. Because this question, I ask this in every podcast: is there a part you would like to play? But now I do a show called Parts I'll Never Play, which means that it does feel like I'm doing a hard sell on you, John.
So what parts would you never play then?
Unfortunately, Luke Kempner already did it, so John probably won't want to do it now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Luke came on the show and he sang She Used to Be Mine from Waitress. So it's like so you get to do the song that you would never get to do.
Yeah.
So is there a big song? So like for me, it's Fagin. I would love to be Fagin so bad.
Yeah, I could see you doing that actually.
Thank you.
Yeah. And there's no reason why it has to be a man.
No, I don't think so either.
No, because it's not really, a male name, is it, Fagin? It's not like Tom or something.
No. But also
Wendy Fagin.
Surely most of playing Fagin is just doing a great impression of Ron Moody, which I definitely could do.
Yeah, well, that's my career is doing impressions of Michael Crawford and Tom Wilkinson. So, yeah.
But is there a song like, I'm just imagining you singing a big song like, what's that great song from Gypsy? What's that song called?
Yeah, everything's coming up roses.
Thank you. I can imagine you singing that.
I could imagine me singing that as well. Yeah. It's just one of the. I'm not a huge fan of Gypsy. In fact, when I was 16, I played Tulsa, which is a dancing role. Honestly, they might as well have put a sack of potatoes on stage. It was awful, awful.
So, what were you doing before Les Mis came along, 26 and all kind of stuff? After in just those few years.
Well, I mean, because when did we leave? I left drama school in '94, and you left in '95. Yeah. So. In the interim year, I auditioned whilst I was in my final year. I was the only person to leave my year without an agent, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And 2 years I worked solidly.
Was that because of your luscious long hair?
Yeah. Well,
the agents don't like it, but people do. Yeah. When did you cut your hair?
Oh, in the second year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You cut before we left. Yeah.
Yeah, and because I had Justin, it's pointed out, I used to have really long hair. My son now has really long hair,
right.
like almost down to my bottom. I nearly said ass then, but I didn't want to swear. And I cut it off. My parents hated my hair. So I cut it off for a play. I think it was All My Sons. It was All My Sons in the second year. And what you used to do in drama school, you would play one part in one half of a show, and then someone else would play that part for the second half.
So annoying.
So you could it was annoying, yeah, but you could mix it up, so everyone got a shot. And so I played it in the first half of the play. And but the director was like, "You've got to cut your hair." It's like he's like this all-American, jock, you've got to cut your hair. So I cut my hair. And then Christmas came around and my parents came up to London to visit me, and I'd cut my hair in the November, and they came to visit me in the December, and I answered the door to them with a towel around my head as if I just washed my hair, and then I just took it off nonchalantly, and they freaked. They couldn't believe it. I said, yeah, cut it off for the play. And they were amazed and very, very happy. And then their Christmas present that year was my hair in a box, which they've still got. They've still got my ponytail. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. It's when I had hair.
But you said,
of course,
so you left without an agent, but then didn't start working?
For 2 years, yeah. And then
Right.
as soon as I signed with an agent, I didn't get any work for 6 months. So that's the way it is. And I'd worked in the West End, at the National. I'd done rep work. I was offered a major motion picture, which I didn't do because in those days you had to do your equity thing, your 16-week, get your equity card. But I mean, that's how old we are, Justin.
I know.
And so they changed all the rules then. So I had a choice to do a small part in a film with Sylvester Stallone. Judge
Who I
Dredd.
sneezed on.
Well, you've got to tell us these stories.
Yeah.
Because that sounds quite rude.
It doesn't
You
matter.
sneezed on Sylvester Stallone.
Carry on.
Okay,
We'll get back
right,
to that.
okay.
Later, Justin will
Later.
reveal
This is not my podcast.
the story.
But I had to turn that down because it meant I wouldn't get my equity card because it was only like 3 days filming. But I got a job playing a lead in a musical in Yorkshire. So I did that, and that meant I got my equity card. So I could then go on to, and then that led to more jobs. But, that opening at the very beginning of your career, it defines what happens to you, I could have ended up being in films, and then I could have been the guy that went, and he can sing as well. But instead I went into musicals. I'm very happy to have been there. I've had a great time. But, that thing, it could have gone either way at the beginning. And so I often get asked, by students, I do master classes every now and then, and they're like, so what do you think you should do? Well, be very careful about choosing your first job, because that'll define what you do for the rest of your career usually, because people just like to put you in a box.
Yeah. And that's why it's hard I think that's a really hard thing to learn, actually, being put in a box, but also that sort of just accepting where you are now rather than deciding which box you're in. Does that make sense? So in one sense, you have to decide, I want to go down this path. But if you lock yourself in the box too early, then it could...
Yeah, and it's something you don't really know you're doing. I mean, when Justin and I were in drama school, you were encouraged to try everything and do everything and try different styles and stuff. And, it's almost ingrained in you to not do long runs and, do a bit of Shakespeare, do a bit of Pinter, do musical, do some comedy, all that, vary your career. But that's not the reality of the business at all. And so I ended up being in musicals. And I remember actually when I was offered Valjean the first time to take over at 26, and I'd had this ingrained sense of I've been here for 6 months, I've got to move on. I'd done all that. And then they offered me Valjean and I was 26, and it's the opportunity of a lifetime. I knew I was too young to do it, but I still went, yeah, of course. And I remember the day I accepted it, I had an anxiety dream that night where I was locked in a diving bell in the bar at the Palace Theatre in this dream. And it was completely round inside, so I couldn't get out. And I vividly remember it now, the circular opening of the diving bell opening, screwing open, and it opens, and Cameron Mackintosh and Claude Michel Schoenberg looked in, and I'm looking up at them, and they went, yeah, he's fine, keep him there. And that was my anxiety dream.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so and I just signed. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? But that's because I was having to undo all the stuff that I'd learned to accept this long-running job.
I can also
and then
say,
I've been in it for years now. So.
What an incredibly cinematic anxiety dream as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. I'm just impressed by your subconscious.
Yeah, like with the love child of Sondheim and Sylvia Plath.
God, what a horrible thought.
And so with nearly 2,000 performances of the Phantom, you're probably one of the best qualified people to talk to us about doing a long run, and how on earth do you survive that?
You know what? It's difficult. Sometimes it's no problem at all going into work. Other times it's the hardest thing in the world, and it's a privilege to do what we do. It really is, But some days, my God, it is so difficult because it's not like a normal job where you go in and you're sending an email, or you're making something on a factory or something, or you're a car mechanic and you get looking at different cars. You have to be in exactly the same place at exactly the same time every day, doing exactly the same thing. I mean, arm gestures, inflections, all has to be exactly the same because there's a formula. And if you stray too much from that, it doesn't work. So that's really hard to deal with. And there's something that, people in long runs, we go through the wall, where some people it happens, in 2 weeks, they go, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And some people it takes a year. But usually it's about the 6 month mark. And what's really interesting is like having done a lot of cast changes and stuff and seeing kids coming out of drama school who are like, oh my God, this is a dream. I'm on the barricade. This is amazing. That's the first few weeks. And then 6 months later, there's chain smoking. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to fire my agent. I hate this business, blah, blah, blah. Because of the sheer repetitive nature of it, it is quite wearing.
Yeah.
When you're going into it, how prescripted did you find the process of that? Like how you're talking about arm gestures and having to be in the same place. How much freedom did you have, say going into Valjean, for your kind of own interpretation of the role, etc.? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Valjean, I mean, they're very good. Cameron's office understand actors' minds, and they give you a length of rope to play with, not too much. Because, technically, for example, if you want to go and do something in a different part of the stage, you can't because you'd be in the dark.
Yeah.
Because it's lit in a certain way. So you have to be, but within that framework of Les Mis particularly, you can play around with what you do. Once the music for Bring Him Home starts, it's up to me how to tell the story. But I have to just do it in a certain place on stage.
Yeah, fair dues. Yeah.
But Phantom was very particular. And I think this is true also of Wicked, from what I've heard of other people. When I went into Phantom, the guy who was putting me in was a guy called Jeff Ferris, who assisted Hal Prince originally. And what an absolute legend this man was. Sadly, no longer with us. Welsh guy, chain smoker, and he was the kind of guy that would sit in the stalls with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth going, move stage left, dear. That kind of thing. But he, because he'd worked with Hal, and the way Hal works, it's not, he doesn't, interact with you as a director would, to give you notes on how to play the performance. He just tells you, right, you start here, you go over there, it's up to you to find your journey. I just want you to move there then at this point, because he had directed the show months and months before it even opened on a set box, on the design. And he'd moved dolls around and seen where to get the right pictures. And it works really well for Phantom. I mean, that's how he worked on that. He might work on other shows differently. But Jeff had worked with him, and so he was very particular. At the end of Music of the Night, for example, there's this classic thing where the hand kind of floats up to kind of turn the light off. And I remember going up to like shoulder level, and he was like, no, 6 inches higher. So then you move your hand a little bit higher. No, a bit higher. No, bit higher, not lower, higher, lower, perfect. So then I had to put my arm in exactly the same place every night, or I got noted on it.
Wow.
And it's that kind of definite direction is very hard to deal with when you've done the training that we did, Justin, but you kind of get around that because you're getting a huge pay packet.
Yeah. And what's it like coming back to these shows?
That's interesting as well, because basically you go back with the knowledge you've gained from, when I went back after doing, working with Jeff, there was a new director, Lawrence Connor, who was very open to new ideas and everything like that. But I was like, but it really worked what I used to do. So they were right. I went into the show, it had been running for 20 years or something, and then they knew what they were doing. So I just listened to them. So then Lawrence was like, try this here, try that there. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. But then I eventually did what I always did. Now, also, when I did the 25th anniversary show, which I did with Luke Kempner, I was rehearsing with Claude Michel Schoenberg in the Barbican. And, we'd redefined the whole show, and it was really exciting to actually take this text that I knew intimately and throw ideas at the directors and Cameron and the writers. And they were very willing to absorb these ideas and make this new show, which is the one that's going into the Queen's in December, I think, or maybe late November, it's opening. And that was a very exciting process. But I remember rehearsing with Claude Michel, and I'd done the show thousands of times at that point. And we were in a room backstage at the Barbican, and he was playing the piano for Bring Him Home when we were rehearsing that, and he stopped in the middle of it and he goes, oh wait, hang on. Yes, this room, it is where I wrote this song. And I'm like, this is freaky. And then he gave me all these notes to change what I was doing. And then I did the notes that night, and I didn't get the reaction I was always getting. So people cheering and stuff, they end up bringing him home, which isn't necessarily the right reaction, but as an actor, it's very satisfying. And then he came to me the next day because he didn't get to see the show that night, and he said, so how did the notes work out? I said, well, I did everything, but the reaction wasn't as good. They didn't seem to respond. He went, oh, forget what I said. You know what you're doing. And so then I went back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So, but you have to be willing to try and learn these new ways. But he kind of weirdly, even though he wrote the show, my knowledge of the show kind of superseded him because he'd never performed the show.
Of course.
It's fascinating, really.
Yeah, so you're going to weirdly know the show more intimately than the guy that wrote it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and also I've found, when I've worked with the new writers, all the best ones are ones that are willing to change and change stuff. I worked on this new show last night called The Clockmaker's Daughter.
Say that again?
The Clockmaker's Daughter.
Thanks, mate.
The Clockmaker's Daughter, and I played the Clockmaker. Did I say that?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, the Clockmaker, and the writers were very open to new ideas, and that's the only way to do it because it's a collaborative thing, isn't it? As you all know, of course.
Well, yeah, I think that's why we're so interested in, as the Showstoppers, the process of doing the same show over and over again, because obviously for us, we do a completely different show every night. So the thought of having to do the same show every night for me is quite difficult. I did a play for 6 weeks and found that really hard.
What was the play?
It was called Brexit. And it was about Brexit. And it was a really great play, but I just couldn't say the same line every day. I genuinely couldn't.
Did you work with a guy called Hal Cruttenden?
Yeah.
He was in drama school with me. Yeah.
Hal,
he's wonderful, Hal.
Yeah, so there was the original cast was myself, Mike McShane, Hal Cruttenden, Joe Caulfield, and Tim Benedicton. I can never say his name, but otherwise known as
Off of the Archers.
What's his face from the Archers?
Yeah. Right, okay.
David Archer.
David Archer himself, can you believe, was the Prime Minister.
I've never listened to it, so I can't say.
Oh, wow.
Though I did have a dresser once who stopped dressing me every night because the Archers was on. So I've got to
Is that
listen
when
to
you
the
kept
Archers.
going on with your pants down?
Well, bless her. Her name was Jackie, and it was in Bristol in the Hippodrome. And she just, I've got to listen to the Archers. So every night for 10 minutes, I had to do it all myself. So
amazing.
So we find that idea. But then when we did our run, we found our own problems, didn't we, in terms of a long run, because we would go on the stage and be like, hello, oh God, I was your wife yesterday. Can I be your wife today? So we're having different kinds of brain farts.
We create all kinds of rules for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, we can't possibly go down the same path again.
Yeah.
We sometimes talk about it being like a game of chess, and you can have the same opening and still have a different game.
Yeah.
We just have to remind ourselves,
God, that
no,
must
this
be
is cool.
really hard for you. I mean, I didn't get the chance to see you on the cruise, sadly, or I've never seen any of your shows live.
No,
but
you've never seen
everyone
us,
I
John.
know who's seen are amazed. In fact, I was talking to Fra Fee last night, and he'd seen you, and he was like, "My God, what talented people!" Well, yeah. So,
we're on tonight, John. If you want a free ticket, come on down.
Where are you on tonight?
The Lyric.
In the West End.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
If I want a free ticket,
You can have a free ticket.
Yeah.
I can't tonight.
Oh,
but,
classic John Owen-Jones.
Yeah, so but I would like to change.
Not even for a free ticket.
I can't come tonight. Yeah.
Come along sometime.
Yeah, come on.
If it was 2 weeks ago, I would do nothing.
Oh, come along 2 weeks ago. That's fine.
I've got loads of music to learn for some concerts. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, we love doing the show. But it is amazing how doing anything for a long amount of time, which is why we rotate people, because otherwise
I've got to
you
go back a
insane.
little bit about Hal Cruttenden, actually.
Oh, please.
Because Hal has had a stellar career as a stand-up.
Yeah.
Right? But what a brilliant actor. And his sister's also a brilliant actor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we stayed in the same flat for a while once we were in drama school together. And his bedroom, because Hal is kind of like this kind of neurotic guy, right? And he had this massive picture of Woody Allen above his bed. And that just that was Hal, And then right by the door as he exited the flat, there was a mirror, and there was a sand engraving on it saying, "Yes, Hal, you are gorgeous." So he had that kind of reinforcement before he left.
That's so sweet.
And that is exactly what he's like, though. He's lovely.
Oh, he's so lovely. Yeah, the only time he got annoyed with me was when I pointed out how beautiful his wife was. With nothing in it, I just went, "Wow, your wife's so beautiful." He went, "Yes, I know, yes. We're both very beautiful, actually."
She's also just written a children's book that's very successful, I believe.
Has she?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, she's got a mind in her. Yeah, she's great, Dawn. Yeah,
Are
really
you
amazing.
selling that on michaelbublé.com?
No, I should really. Maybe I should go into e-commerce. It seems to be the way forward, doesn't it? Yeah.
We've alluded to it a couple of times, but Justin, I think you have to tell your celebrity story.
Okay, so
Before you do, let me just frame it with what happened to me.
How it came up in the first place.
So there was the celebrity launch of Planet Hollywood, and I'm a huge fan of Schwarzenegger, right? To the point, actually, that when I was at drama school in character study, and you would remember doing yours, I did Schwarzenegger. You have to pretend to be someone. And everybody did somebody like Sylvia Plath or, I don't know.
D.H. Lawrence or something. I did Byron.
Yeah. Lord Byron was very popular.
Yeah.
A lot of people loved doing people. I remember Hal actually did The Last Hangman.
Oh, wow.
Oh, what was his name? Anyway, so you had to be this character for a few minutes, and I did Schwarzenegger. And I was such a fan of his that I knew he was appearing at the Planet Hollywood launch. So I went along and I just stood in the crowd so I could see Schwarzenegger. Little did I know who was inside, Justin.
I was. With Finty, a mutual friend of ours from drama school. And
Well, hang on. We have to say who Finty is as well.
Because Finty, first of all, is a fantastic name for in an anecdote.
Yeah.
And two, but we need to know who Finty is.
Oh, Finty Williams is the fabulous daughter of Judi Dench and Michael Williams. We were great mates at drama school and still are. She's great.
In fact, did you live in a house at any point? Because I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I thought you must have at some point.
Well, like most
it was
people
like
did.
a hostel for unemployed actors, wasn't it?
No, but I spent a lot of time there. Like she had this wonderful house in Hampstead that we used to just go and stay at, and then then it burnt down. It was like
In fact, I was living there at the time, and I was back in my dad's butcher shop for the holidays, working in between terms, and she called me up crying, saying, "You're gonna have to find somewhere new to live." I'm like, "Why?" Well, I've burnt the house down.
I know. Well,
very funny.
When I came back, I literally came back from holiday. I was on holiday in Turkey, and I had a phone call from her mum saying, "Can you go around to the house and help out because the fire brigade are going around and they're being really mean because they were trying to because they'd been to put the fire out and they hadn't put it out properly, and it was their fault that they hadn't put it out, and it caught fire again. Yeah. So they were going around and they were being really kind of saying, no, this is. So I had to go around and kind of defend the. And while we were standing there, there was just this leg came crashing through the ceiling of a fire inspector upstairs who basically he almost fell through the ceiling.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fine. Actually, they admitted responsibility for that in the end, and because they hadn't put it out.
So that was a great anecdote about Planet Hollywood.
We're on the way. So
anyway, we were at Planet Hollywood, and it was the opening of Planet Hollywood, and we were inside. I got very, very drunk with Russ Abbott, who, and I went to Russ Abbott because my daughter was out. My sister had been at Aura. My sister had been at Aura with Richard Abbott, who's his son. So I went over and said hello, and used that as a sort of excuse to start talking to Russ Abbott. Me and him just ate free burgers and got really drunk. I spilled an entire bottle of wine over Marie Helvin. Brilliant. Michael J. Fox and Bruce Willis were playing. They played Johnny B. They played a whole set with the band, and then me and Finty went over and chatted with Bruce Willis afterwards, who was very, very charming. And
told you to call him Bruno.
Told me to call him Bruno. I did touch Patrick Swayze's bottom on the way past the toilet, just so I could say I had done. Hashtag me too. And but at one point I sneezed, and I sneezed on the shoulder of Sylvester Stallone, but nobody saw.
That's hilarious.
It was a great night.
It's great. That is the most celebrity-packed 2 minutes of the Showstopper podcast we've recorded.
Also, I did
date.
meet Ron Moody at the Clowns Convention in 1991 when I was doing my Mime Magician act, and we had dinner with him afterwards.
Oh my God!
After doing a show in a circus tent that was ringmastered by Jeremy Beadle.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That is
Mic
amazing.
drop.
Firstly, though, I mean, the Clowns Convention sounds like one of the most terrifying places in the world.
It was terrible. It was
The Clowns
It was
Convention.
the weirdest show ever. It
What
was in
did
a
you do
circus
in your
tent in
show?
Bognor Regis. I was doing a mime magician act with my friend Dingle Fingal, who I spent many years doing a comedy car clown show with.
Is Dingle Fingal a real name, or is it?
Stephen Grindle is his real name, but
Right.
Dingle Fingal is his clown name.
Right, that sounds really dodgy, doesn't
Yeah.
it? I'm going to Dingle Fingal you.
Yeah.
Fingal, real
So
name
was
Stephen
this-
Grindle.
this is in-
Which is worse?
This is in
Or better.
Bognor.
Yeah, it
Is
was
it
in
right
Bognor
where
in
my
91.
in-laws live? My in-laws live there, so I'm down there all the time. Was it in Butlins?
No, do you know what? I can't remember. It
There's
was
a big-
it was in a circus tent, so
Well,
it
the
could have
big
been
circus
anywhere.
tent at Butlins, probably. I should imagine, yeah.
It might well have been there. It was
Yeah.
Jerry Cottle was
okay.
running the season, so.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Just before we end, Luke Kempner has sent a reply.
Has he now?
Let's see what Luke says about John. Let's see what he says. He's recorded a message for
Oh
you.
dear. Right,
a mess.
okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Here we go.
The reason I didn't mention him was because one of the biggest nights of my life, I'm playing Marius, all my family are there, I'm supposed to be dead, and John Owen-Jones, as Jean Valjean, stares at me, I'm supposed to be dead, and he goes, "I think I've just farted, it stinks," and I couldn't stop laughing, so I have no respect for that man.
I can tell you that was a dreadful impression of me, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, on that bombshell, it's probably time we made up a song.
Yeah.
John.
Whoa, what?
Sorry, John
Hello.
Owen-Jones. Part of the
Oh, the
deal
door's
of
locked.
coming on to promote your website, michaelbublé.com, is you have to improvise a song with us. We love improvising songs with our guests. Are you up for the challenge?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
He sounds so convinced.
Yeah, you're really
What a great actor.
I'm really excited by this.
It'll be really
Look,
fun.
you've got to remember that I've only done 2 parts of my entire career. I have literally no improv skills.
Literally, you've done half of All My Sons. We know that, so don't lie.
Half of All My Sons, yeah.
It's great. All you have to do is look at us and enjoy yourself.
Okay, right.
That's
so I don't
it.
have to sing then? Oh,
No,
that's
you know,
good, yeah.
I won't sing.
All right, okay.
I'd like a beautiful romantic duet between Pippa and John.
In the old Woolworths.
Woolworths.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
You seen those new albums?
Well, the ones by Madness around the back just come out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They look fun, don't they?
yeah,
I've always wanted to see them live.
yeah.
What about you?
Well, why don't we go together?
You asking me out on a date?
Yeah, but look, come and meet me by the posters.
All
We
right.
can have a look through the posters, and everyone will think we're looking through the posters, but instead we'll be talking about going on a date with you. Talking about going to see Madness at the Kentish Town Forum.
Talking about standing hand in hand while Madness sing their merry song.
What's your favourite Madness song then?
My favourite Madness song is the one with the saxophone.
It's my favourite too.
The one where they walk with their arms doing that right angle.
The right angle is my favourite angle of all. It's like we're meant to be together by the posters in Woolworths.
I'm mad about Madness, and I'm mad about you.
And we're both mad about right angles.
What a happy place for us two. I'm mad about Madness, and I'm mad about you. And we're mad about right angles, but mostly I'm mad about you. And maybe tomorrow we'll stand by the pick and mix and we'll eat the sweets, and they won't be as sweet as the love between us two.
Maybe tomorrow we'll stand by the broom handles and the shovels. God, I love Woolworths. It's as varied and as lovely as you.
And 'cause I'm mad about Madness, and I'm mad about you, and we're mad about right angles, but most of all,
Yes, most of all.
most of all, I'm mad about you.
That was John Owen-Jones,
He's so fun.
isn't he?
It's a shame, isn't it, how much you had to edit out? He did say that he does have a tendency to tell stories that can't be broadcast.
Yeah, that's right. And so you can, as you've listened to that, and I want you to listen to it back to it again and imagine what we had to cut out.
It was so fun, and it was so great for him to come and join us. But do you know what? This might be a good time to mention that we're going to be doing some podcasts live at the Boulevard Theatre, which is a new theatre coming to Soho. And the reason I mention that is simply because that's when people's libelous stories can be heard, which you then wouldn't hear on the recorded podcast. So keep an ear out for that.
Yeah, the great thing is at the time of recording, we have no dates confirmed to tell you when to come, but definitely decide now in spirit to come.
Decided spirits to attend the new Boulevard Theatre in Soho to watch the Showstopper podcast alive.
Amazing. And if you enjoyed this podcast, why not tell us all about it? You can get in touch on Twitter.
At the Showstoppers.
On Facebook.
/ the Showstoppers.
On Instagram.
At Showstopper Musical.
Or go to our website.
www.showstoppertheimprovisedmusical.com.
Oh, so close. So close,
I
Pippa.
did it so well because they changed it recently.
It was showstopperthemusical.com.
Oh, why do they keep changing it? I don't know. Just Google it. If in doubt, Google it.
Yeah, just Google it. And then you can also you can also leave us a rating or a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast.
And our favourite rating is 5 stars.
Yeah, we currently have 100% 5-star success rating.
That's pretty good,
So you
isn't
don't
it?
want to be the one who takes us down.
No, you don't. No, you do not. So please be kind and gentle, and we'll see you next time.
Look after each other. Bye.
Andrew, it's you and me in a small, dark, damp room. This is where our career is.
That's definitely going on the end of the podcast.